Hey, it's Paula here. You probably know me as the Chata from my art accounts, but I just want to walk through my speed paint process because I recorded it. I feel like explaining and like analyzing my process could be like a good way to learn from myself, especially if I like try to critically analyze myself, I guess. I don't know why I wrote those words. I mean, I do know why. I wrote those words on the side because I was really struggling to put something on the page. I just really didn't know how to even start the piece, hence, drawing the horse first and then putting in the background after. I scrolled through so much Pinterest, just like looking at different nature scenes and a lot of other people's art that I had saved previously. Think it's a good way to find a starting point. I started with using a really big fat brush. It's just like a good way to block all of the basic colors out. You just zoom out, look at it from a distance, and just plan. And I use like all custom brushes because one, I think it's like more satisfying because when you look at the final piece, you know that like you made all of it. The second reason is like you just know the brush really well, you know how it works, and you like fine tuned every single part of it to be what you wanted from that brush. Like for the first brush, it's like a thick brush. I actually found like a canvas seamless photo from Google. I meant it's kind of all yours. Then I put that as the texture so that I could get like that natural look to my piece. And I also have pressure size sensitivity off so that like, when you press harder, it doesn't get any smaller or larger. But I do have the opacity set on pressure sensitivity. And then for the second brush that I used, it is also a coarse texture, but I have that one as size, pressure sensitivity, as well as opacity. The third brush that I use is actually a pencil. Yeah, here I just like took the piece on and put on the side and then put all my references up because for some reason Windows did not want to record my screen and it only wanted to record my canvas, which was pretty annoying because I wanted to be able to show like what I'm doing and like how I'm adjusting the brushes and what different brushes I'm using and like all of the layers. Like everything here is on a different layer, like the unicorn, the lines. I have the background on the layer, then I have the midground, like those gray trees, and then I have the foreground, which is like those dark trees on the left side and on the right side, which are also both on different layers. But it's fine. Don't see that, I guess. Yeah, what am I doing here? Okay. I used a couple different references in this piece. So dealing with lighting was pretty interesting. Also with that tail, I ended up doing that a couple different times. I just didn't really know how to make it look natural, but I think the way it ended up pretty well. Oh, and that beard, yeah, took a while, a lot of adjusting to get that one right. In this book, I had no clue where to put it, moved it around so much. Drew some golden squiggles to make it look like an antique mystical book. Oh yeah, and I really like what I did with the glow here. I was originally just gonna airbrush some glow onto it, but ended up adding like those swirls on it, which I think was a cool touch. Yeah, everything's on a different layer. For the glow at least, I have like 4 different layers, one for the sparkles, one for the uh swirly lines, and then one for like the airbrush glow over it. It's pretty skeptical over the lighting that I used. I feel like I did an okay job. I think the lighting behind the unicorn could have been adjusted, but I'm not sure how yet. But that's fine. It's a learning process. I definitely blocked out really bright colors here when in reality the colors would probably be a lot more dull. But this is a fantasy forest, so I wanted to, you know, magic that thing up. Oh yeah, hand painted every single leaf. Like, there's probably a better way to do that. I know a lot of people have like leaf brushes, but I struggle every time I use those. It just looks really unnatural. And I was like watching some speed paints from some other artists, and people who do like mind-blowing backgrounds. And that was when I realized you treat the background just like how you treat your main character. Like, you just literally paint the background with the same brush and like the same brush size. You don't go up or down or anything like you kind of do, but like for rendering at least, you don't. Like, you literally just paint everything. It took me a while to figure that out. I thought you just like magically did the background. Oh, yes, and the lighting. I actually put like a giant mask of blue over it, and then I played with the filters that Sketchbook has to offer. Ended up using color burn, which I think really made the piece work better, and it just matched with the unicorn's blue a lot better. Oh, and I realized the forest did not seem very magical, so I was like, what would be a good way to magic this thing up? Ah, put swirls on the rocks. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, yes. And then realizing that the commissioner wanted the lines and cell shading, I had to go over everything with some lines, which I think actually made a cool effect as opposed to me doing the lines first. It just makes it like a little bit more painterly, I guess. And I could get those natural brush strokes in without having to worry about fitting within the lines. So I think I'm going to do that more often, actually. Good job, Paula. Oh yes, rendering all of the rocks. Like, each piece of this art seemed like really daunting at first, but then you just start it, and then like a couple minutes in and it's like, oh, heckin' got it. And you can see here I've definitely learned from um doing the lining in this piece itself, because I went from drawing circles over every single leaf to actually recreating like the shape of branches, like the way that they would flow in an actual tree. And I started doing way less lines. But then again, in the foreground, you want there to be tons of lines. Oh yeah, added some sparkles, and that's the piece. I actually ended up putting the piece through GIMP as well to mess with the colors a little bit, but for some reason Windows didn't even want to record that for some reason, so whatever.